The night was cold and silent around the small mining colony on planet Ryan 7. Wind blew over the empty streets, carrying dust and the faint sound of metal doors creaking in the dark. Most miners were asleep after a long day in the iron pits. But one man, Eli Grant, could not sleep. He sat outside his old cabin, sharpening his mining blade under a weak yellow lamp. The desert wind felt heavy tonight. Too still, too quiet. Then, from far away, he thought he heard something. A faint voice, like a whisper. At first, Eli ignored it. He told himself it was just the wind playing tricks again, but then he heard it clearer. A weak cry, soft, desperate. Please, someone. Help. Eli froze. The voice was coming from the old dried well beyond the colony. The same one everyone said was cursed. Children were warned never to go near it. People said ghosts of dead miners cried from inside. But this didn't sound like a ghost. It sounded alive. Curiosity burned inside Eli. He grabbed his lamp and his coil of rope, then started walking. The sand crunched under his boots as he moved past the sleeping huts. The moonlight fell pale on the stone walls of the well. It was cracked, covered in rusted metal plates and warning signs. When he leaned over the edge, cold air brushed his face. He lifted the lamp and saw nothing but darkness. Then the voice came again, trembling and small. Please, don't leave me here. Eli's breath caught in his throat. It was not human. The voice was lighter, smoother, almost musical, but filled with pain. He called out, "Who's there?" No answer. Only a quiet sob. He dropped a small pebble. It fell for a long time before splashing in water. The sound echoed deep below. The well wasn't dry after all. Someone was trapped down there. Eli looked around. No one else was awake. If he called for help, others would come. But in this colony, no one helped strangers, especially not aliens. They'd rather sell one for credits. He took a deep breath and tied the rope around a metal beam. If this is a bad idea, he muttered, I'm already too deep in it. He lowered himself slowly, his lamp swinging above him. The walls were damp and smelled of rust and mold. The whispers grew louder as he went deeper. Then he saw something move, a faint blue glow in the water below. Hey! Hold on, he shouted. I'm coming. When his boots touched the muddy bottom, the light flickered. Eli raised his lamp and his heart almost stopped. A small alien girl lay half-submerged in the filthy water. Chains were wrapped around her wrists and ankles. Her skin was pale blue, her hair tangled and wet, and faint glowing lines ran across her arms like broken stars. She looked no older than 16. Her eyes opened slowly, bright and silver, staring at him in fear. Don't hurt me, she whispered. Her voice was weak, trembling. Eli knelt beside her. I'm not here to hurt you, he said softly. Who did this to you? She shook her head, tears mixing with the dirty water. They threw me down here. They said no one would ever find me. Her words sent a chill through him. Someone had left her here to die. He tried pulling the chains, but they were locked tight. He looked up, thinking fast. Hold on, he said. I'll get you out. She looked at him, confused. Why would you help me? You're human. Eli frowned, because no one deserves to die alone in the dark. He took out his mining tool and started cutting through the chains. Sparks flew, echoing off the stone walls. The noise was loud enough to wake the whole colony, but he didn't care. When the last chain broke, the girl collapsed into his arms, weak and shaking. He wrapped her in his jacket. Her skin was cold like ice, but she managed a faint smile. My name, she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Lyra. Eli, he said. You're safe now, Lyra. But as he looked up the narrow shaft of the well, he noticed something strange. The walls above were glowing faintly with the same blue light that came from her skin. And somewhere far away, deep in the night sky, a signal light blinked in response. Lyra opened her eyes wide, whispering in fear, "They will come for me." Eli held her tighter. "Then they'll have to go through me first." The wind howled across the colony again, carrying her soft whisper into the darkness. Someone heard me. Finally. Eli carried the small alien girl, Lyra, out of the well under the pale moonlight. Her skin still glowed faintly, soft blue lines pulsing weakly under the dirt. She was light as a feather, but her body trembled with every breath. He placed her gently on the dry sand beside the old well. "You're safe now," he whispered, but she didn't answer. Her eyes were half open, watching the stars with a faraway look, like she had not seen the sky for years. Eli looked around. The colony was silent. No one had seen him rescue her. He quickly wrapped her in his blanket and carried her back to his small cabin at the edge of the settlement. His boots left deep marks in the sand, but the wind would soon cover them. Inside, he placed her near the heater. The small cabin was dark, filled with tools, metal scraps, and mining gear. He poured some water into a cup and tried to help her drink. Her hands were shaking so badly he had to hold the cup for her. "Easy now," he said softly. "You're safe here. No one will hurt you." She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly silver. "You should not have helped me," she said weakly. "They will come." Eli frowned. "Who's they?" Her lips trembled. "The ones who threw me down there. The hunters." That word made Eli's stomach twist. Hunters meant slavers, or worse, alien mercenaries who hunted living beings for money or power. He crouched near her. "Why were they after you? Did you steal something? Run away?" She shook her head slowly. "I don't remember. I only remember pain, fire, and a ship burning in the sky." Her voice cracked, and tears slid down her blue cheeks. "I was trying to save them, and then everything went black." Eli could tell she wasn't lying. There was something pure in her voice, something scared and lost. He gave her a piece of dry bread, but she stared at it like she didn't know what it was. "You never ate human food before?" he asked with a faint smile. She shook her head. "We live on light, not like you." He raised an eyebrow. "Light?" She nodded, pointing weakly toward his small solar lamp. It helps me heal." Eli placed the lamp closer, and as the light touched her skin, her glowing marks brightened slightly. Her breathing grew calmer. He stepped back, amazed. "Guess you really do eat sunshine." For the first time she smiled, a small, shy smile. "You are strange for a human," she said. "Most of your kind would have left me." He chuckled. "Yeah, I get that a lot." Hours passed. She rested, bathed in the soft glow of the lamp. Eli sat at his table, cleaning his mining tools, but his eyes kept drifting toward her. Something about her presence made the air feel heavy, like the world outside had changed. Then around midnight, Eli dozed off in his chair. The heater hummed softly. But as he slept, something strange happened. A faint whisper filled the room. Not from her mouth, but from his mind. "Eli." He stirred. His eyes opened, and suddenly, he saw flashes inside his head. Images not his own. A burning ship. Screaming voices. Chains. A hand reaching toward him through smoke. He gasped and looked at her. Lyra was still lying near the heater, her eyes closed, glowing faintly. Somehow she was speaking through his mind. He heard her voice again inside his head. "You heard my whisper in the dark? You are the only one who did." Eli's hands shook. "What are you?" he whispered out loud. Her eyes opened slowly. "I don't know anymore," she said softly. "But they want me because of what I am. They said my light could bring war, or peace." Before Eli could reply, a loud sound echoed outside, a deep rumble that shook the cabin walls. He rushed to the window and froze. 3 glowing ships were landing beyond the colony ridge. Their engines burned bright red, lighting the sky like fire. The hunters had arrived. Eli turned back to Lyra. She was trembling again, whispering fast in fear. They found me. They always find me. Eli grabbed his old blaster and threw on his jacket. Not this time, he said firmly. You're not going back in any cage. Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide and wet. You'll die if you fight them. He smiled faintly. Maybe, but I'd rather die saving someone who whispered for help than live knowing I walked away. Outside, searchlights began sweeping the colony. Loudspeakers roared in alien language. Eli pushed open the door, holding his weapon tight. Behind him, Lyra's glow grew stronger, her voice faint but sure. Eli, if I fall, you must find the place where the stars sleep. Only there can I be safe. He didn't understand, but her words felt heavy, like a promise that would change everything. As the night filled with the sound of engines and light flashed across the desert, Eli whispered to himself, Guess the universe just made me someone's protector. And far above, in the dark sky, a giant shadow moved, watching. The ground shook as the alien ships landed beyond the colony ridge. Their engines hissed, burning the sand black. Red lights swept across the sleeping town like the eyes of predators searching for prey. Eli stood at his cabin window, watching the shadows of armored figures moving between the huts. They carried long rifles and scanners that blinked with strange blue lights. They weren't miners or traders, these were bounty hunters. Inside the cabin, Lyra sat near the heater, her body glowing softly. Her silver eyes were full of fear. They have come, she whispered, the hunters of Vorak. They can smell my energy even through walls. Eli grabbed his old rifle, a human-made weapon from the war days. Then we better make them lose the scent, he said. He opened a small locker and pulled out a dusty backpack filled with ration bars and energy cells. Lyra watched him move quickly. You can't fight them, she said. They will burn this whole colony just to find me. Eli looked at her, his jaw tight. Then we leave before they start looking in my door. He helped her stand. Her legs were weak and she leaned on his shoulder as they slipped out through the back door. The cold wind hit their faces. The sound of engines hummed above. The hunters were spreading out. They moved through narrow alleys between the metal shacks. Dogs barked. A few miners peeked through their windows but quickly closed them again when they saw who was outside. Nobody wanted trouble. Nobody wanted to face alien hunters. At the edge of the colony stood the old mine shaft, abandoned years ago. Eli led Lyra there. They won't check inside, he said. Too deep, too unstable. As they went in, the darkness swallowed them. Only Lyra's glow lit the path. The air smelled of dust and oil. Broken carts and machines lay scattered like bones of a dead world. Eli stopped beside an old console and pressed a button. Sparks flew and the screen flickered to life. The map of the mine appeared. Long tunnels stretching deep underground. We'll hide here till morning, he said. But Lyra's breathing grew faster. No, I can feel them. They are close. Outside, heavy boots echoed. Voices in harsh alien language shouted orders. Eli killed the light and pulled her behind a pile of metal crates. Through a crack, he saw one of the hunters enter the tunnel. The creature was tall, armored in black scales, eyes glowing red. It held a scanner that beeped faster when it pointed toward their direction. Lyra covered her mouth, trembling. Eli gripped his rifle, his heart pounding. When the hunter came closer, Eli grabbed a rock and threw it down another tunnel. The sound echoed. The hunter turned sharply and followed the noise. Eli exhaled slowly, then whispered, Let's move. They crept deeper into the mine. After a few turns, they found a small shelter room once used by miners. Eli closed the metal door quietly. Lyra collapsed onto the floor, weak and shaking. Her glow was fading. You're burning up, Eli said, worried. She shook her head. I need light. The right kind of light. Without it, I will fade. Eli opened his bag, found a solar lamp, and placed it near her. The warm light filled the small room. Slowly, the color returned to her face. Better? He asked. She nodded slightly. You risked everything for me. Why? He shrugged. Because when I heard your voice, I couldn't walk away. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. You are not like the others, she whispered. Humans were once protectors. My people spoke of them like legends. Eli raised an eyebrow. Legends? Humans? Yes, she said. Long ago, humans and my kind were allies. But then your kind vanished. Everyone believed you were gone forever. Eli leaned back, confused. Gone? We've been here all along. She shook her head. No, not here. I mean beyond the border worlds. The real humans. The ones who carried the light. Eli didn't understand, but before he could ask more, a sharp noise came from outside. The scanner again, closer this time. He peeked through a crack in the door. The hunter had returned, holding a small device. It glowed red, and Lyra's name flashed across its screen. Target, Lyra Jalara, Royal Priority. Eli's eyes widened. Royal. She wasn't just a runaway. She was someone important. He turned back to her. Your royalty? He whispered. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't want to be. I just wanted to be free. Before he could reply, the mine shook violently. Explosions thundered outside. The hunters were sealing the tunnels to trap them. Dust rained from the ceiling. Eli grabbed her hand. We have to move now. They ran through the tunnels, chased by the echo of collapsing rocks. Behind them, the red glow of the hunters' scanners flashed like blood. At the end of the tunnel, Eli saw daylight breaking through a crack. He pushed through, dragging Lyra into the cold desert wind. In the distance, he saw fire rising from the colony, burning. Lyra looked back, whispering through tears. They destroyed it. Just to find me. Eli clenched his jaw. Then we'll make sure they regret ever coming here. As the sun rose over the dunes, the hunter ships circled in the sky like vultures. Eli lifted his rifle, shielding Lyra behind him. The real fight had only just begun. Smoke filled the sky. The colony burned behind them, flames dancing in every direction. The hunters had destroyed homes, machines, everything. They wanted only one thing. Lyra. Eli held Lyra's hand tightly as they ran across the red sand. Ash drifted like snow in the air. Behind them, loudspeakers from the hunter ships roared in a strange alien tongue. Every few steps, Eli looked back, checking the skies. 3 sleek hunter crafts circled overhead like angry birds of prey. Their scanners beeped, searching for the smallest trace of energy. Lyra stumbled beside him, breathing hard. Her glow was dimming again. Her body wasn't made for this world, for the heat, the dust, or the fear. We can't outrun them, she whispered. They will find us. Eli's jaw clenched. Then we disappear. He led her toward the cliffs beyond the desert, toward a place even the hunters feared. The ash hollows, a maze of canyons, old bones, and black rock said to swallow travelers forever. Eli knew the stories. He didn't care. It was the only place left. They slid down a steep dune, landing hard in the shadow of the rocks. The light vanished, replaced by silence and cold. The wind didn't reach this place, only echoes. They moved through cracks in the stone, crawling at times, slipping between ancient paths that twisted like tunnels. Suddenly, Lyra gasped. Her legs gave out. She collapsed on the ground, her glow barely a flicker now. Eli knelt beside her. Lyra? She opened her eyes slowly. I'm sorry. My body needs more light. I can't survive in this darkness much longer. He looked around. The sun was gone. The canyon walls blocked all light. Eli reached into his bag and pulled out the solar lamp, but it was cracked. The fall had broken it. No, he whispered, tapping the screen. It flickered weakly, barely enough to light a hand. Lyra's fingers found his wrist. Leave me, she whispered. You can escape. They don't want you, he stared at her. I don't care what they want. I'm not leaving you. Her eyes were full of tears now, glowing faintly. Why? You don't even know me. Eli swallowed hard. Because I do know what it feels like. To be left behind. To be forgotten. For a moment, there was only silence between them, a silence deeper than the canyon itself. Then the ground shook. A loud hum echoed from above. The hunters had found the canyon. A red beam of light cut through the sky and landed just a few meters away from them. They were being scanned. Run, Lyra whispered. Run, please! But Eli stayed still, his eyes fixed on the scanner beam. He pulled Lyra into his arms, holding her close. No more running. Suddenly her body lit up, not by the sun, not by a lamp, but by something inside her. A glowing pulse burst from her chest. The blue lines on her skin shone bright like stars. Her eyes opened wide, silver and burning. The scanner blinked, then exploded in sparks. Up in the sky, the hunter ship wobbled. It lost control and spiraled away from the canyon. Eli stared at her in awe. What did you do? Lyra looked confused. I don't know. It just happened. I felt your heartbeat. I felt your will to protect me. It gave me strength. Eli helped her sit up. Her glow was stable now, like a fire just beginning to burn. Then we use that strength, he said. There's an old base hidden in these cliffs, human-made. Maybe it still works. Lyra blinked. A base from before the silence? He nodded. My father found it once. Said it was full of old tech and weapons. Can we reach it? We have to. They followed a narrow path deeper into the cliffs. The rock grew darker. Old signs and faded earth lettering appeared on the walls. Finally, they reached a rusted steel door. Eli placed his hand on the panel. It sparked, scanned his fingerprints, and opened with a loud hiss. The door revealed a large underground room filled with dust, broken screens, and dead machines. But in the center stood a console still glowing. Eli stepped forward. Let's bring this place back to life. As he powered up the system, a map lit up showing old Earth colonies and the position of hunter ships nearby. Lyra stared at it. This place. It remembers. Eli looked at her. Then it's time we remind them. Humans don't run. We protect. Outside, the hunter ships turned back toward the canyon, unaware of the storm waiting for them inside. Dust danced in the stale air as the hidden base powered up. Screens blinked after years of silence. Soft mechanical hums echoed through the walls like a giant creature waking from sleep. Eli stared at the glowing control panel. Old Earth symbols flashed. Codes, maps, logs written in a language the universe had nearly forgotten. A single line blinked on the main screen. System online. Welcome, human. Lyra stood close behind him, her eyes wide. It's real, she whispered. The stories? They were true. Eli looked back at her. What stories? She stepped forward slowly, tracing her fingers across the glowing console. When I was a child, my elders spoke of a time before the silence. A time when humans and the Gellar shared stars, built cities in the sky, and protected the weak. Then one day, humans vanished. Some said you were destroyed. Others said, you chose to sleep. Eli raised an eyebrow. Sleep? She nodded, waiting for a whisper strong enough to wake you. Eli gave a quiet laugh, then tapped the screen. Well, I guess your whisper reached far enough. A soft alarm beeped. The screen zoomed in on a map. Red blips moved toward their location, hunter ships circling the cliffs. A timer started counting down. 12 minutes. They found us again, Eli said. We don't have long. He moved quickly, pressing buttons, opening locked data logs, scanning old files. One tab flashed. Last human Zealer Alliance memory beacon. Status damaged. Lyra leaned in. A memory beacon? Eli clicked it. A hologram burst from the console. 2 figures appeared. One was human in old military armor. The other was a tall Zalar leader, glowing with energy. They stood side by side, hands clasped, speaking in unison. If the dark returns, if the galaxy forgets, this light shall remain. A bond that once saved millions shall not be broken. The hologram faded. Silence filled the room again. Lyra's voice trembled. That was my ancestor, Queen Thera. I know her face from the temple walls. Eli nodded slowly. And that was Captain Lorik. My great-grandfather served under him. She turned to him, her eyes shining. Then this meeting. You and I. It wasn't chance. Eli didn't answer. But in his heart he felt it. Something bigger than both of them had brought them together. The base lights flickered. A deeper voice spoke from the walls. Warning. Hostile crafts approaching. Defensive systems damaged. Manual override required. Eli grabbed his tools. I'll fix the guns. Buy us time. Lyra touched his arm. Let me help, he hesitated. You sure you're strong enough? She gave a small smile. Stronger than I look. Together they moved to the weapon control room. The turrets outside were buried under sand, their power cells dry. Eli opened a panel and started rewiring. Sparks flew. Lyra placed her hands on the energy conduit, her body glowing brighter as she poured her own light into the system. The lights surged. Turrets outside rose from the sand, groaning like giants waking from sleep. On the screen, red blips moved faster. Closer now. 6 minutes, Eli looked at her. That gave us power, but what about you? She swayed slightly but stood firm. I'm fine. I've lived my whole life running, for once. I want to stand and fight. He nodded. Good, because they won't expect what's coming. A second console beeped. A small device popped out, a data chip with glowing blue circuits. The screen labeled it, Human Command Key, Alliance Beacon Activation. Eli picked it up, confused. What's this? Lyra's face changed. That's what they were after. Not just me, but that key. It's tied to your DNA. Only a true human can activate the beacon. Eli turned to her. And what happens if I do? She whispered. Then every old ally, every hidden human ship, every forgotten friend of Earth will hear it. Outside, the sky roared. Hunter ships descended like demons. Loudspeakers screamed orders in every direction. Minutes. Eli took a deep breath and slotted the chip into the beacon console. The base trembled. A pulse of golden light burst upward through the ceiling, firing straight into the sky like a flare. Far above, in the silence of space, something ancient stirred. Old satellites blinked awake. Long-dead signals reconnected. Faraway ships in deep orbit received a message they hadn't heard in 100 years. Alliance beacon activated. Human confirmed. Prepare for contact. Back in the base, Lyra looked at Eli with awe. You woke the stars. Eli gripped his rifle, walking to the front gate. Let's make sure they're still ours. As the Hunter army closed in and the skies began to shift, something massive moved behind the clouds, an echo of the old world, answering the call. The beacon's light still stretched into the sky like a golden sword, cutting through the thick smoke above the cliffs. The wind had changed. Something was coming, but there was no time to wonder. The Hunter ship screamed down through the clouds, red and sharp like knives in the sky. They formed a ring above the canyon, engines roaring, weapons charged. Inside the base, alarms blared. The console showed red all over. Warning, perimeter breach. Enemy count 27. Eli stood at the command console, his fingers flying over buttons. We've got less than a minute before they blow this place apart. Lyra, still glowing faintly, stepped beside him. Then let's show them what humans and Jalar can do. Together. Outside, dust exploded as the first wave of Hunter soldiers landed. Black armor, glowing red visors, silent footsteps. They moved like shadows with guns. The old base groaned as its ancient defenses came to life. Turrets unfolded from hidden walls. Blue energy shields snapped on. The battle began. The turrets fired first. Bright blue bolts lit the canyon, slamming into the Hunter soldiers. The ground shook. Eli grinned. Old tech still kicks hard, but the Hunters were fast. They returned fire with deadly precision. Blaster shots hit the outer shields. Sparks flew. The walls trembled. One turret exploded in a burst of flame. Lyra stumbled, her hand clutching her side. They're targeting power nodes. They know where to hit. Eli helped her up. We need to hold just a little longer. Help is coming. She looked at him, confused. How do you know? He gave a small, tired smile. Because I believe the stars still remember us. Suddenly, the ground above cracked open. A huge piece of cliff broke loose and crashed down, smashing 2 Hunter squads. Dust swallowed everything, then the sky changed. A low hum filled the air. A ripple moved across the clouds like something massive breaking through the veil. And then they appeared. Dozens of ships, sleek, black and silver with old Earth markings. They came from orbit like silent guardians. They were human ships, lost for generations, hidden in deep space waiting. One massive battleship hovered above the canyon. On its side was a name etched in bold, HSF Valor, Earth Defense Fleet. Inside the base, Lyra gasped. They answered. They really answered. A deep voice came through the base's comms. This is Captain Reese of the HSF Valor. We received your beacon. Identify yourself. Eli grabbed the mic. Eli Grant, Ryan 7 Colony. We're under attack. We have a Zelar Royal in protection. Requesting immediate air support. Silence. Then, request granted. Let's show them humanity still stands. Above, the human fleet opened fire. Blue beams shot from the ships, slicing through Hunter crafts. Explosions filled the sky. The Hunters panicked. Their ships turned, some trying to escape. But it was too late. The battle had turned. Eli and Lyra stood at the entrance of the base, watching the sky rain fire. For the first time, Lyra wasn't afraid. They came for your voice, she whispered. Not mine. Eli shook his head. No, they came because your whisper reached me. And mine reached them. That's how this works. One voice at a time. Behind them, the base lit up fully. Power systems restored. Archives unlocked. A new message appeared on the screen. Beacon verified. Human Zealer Pact reestablished. Lyra smiled with tears in her eyes. You just rebuilt a bond between worlds. Suddenly, a final hunter ship dove toward them, weapons hot. Eli pulled Lyra down as blasters fired. But just before the shots hit, a human fighter craft dropped from the clouds and smashed the enemy ship mid-air, sending debris flying in all directions. The pilot's voice crackled in through the radio. "Told you." "Grant, no one touches the girl," Eli laughed in disbelief. "That voice, Jameson? I thought he died years ago." The fleet had returned, and so had old friends. As the smoke cleared and the sun rose again, the canyon looked different. Not like a grave, but like a gateway. Lyra sat on a rock watching the sunrise. "What happens now?" Eli stood beside her. "Now we rebuild? Not just colonies, but alliances, trust, peace." She leaned against his shoulder. "And what if the darkness comes back?" He looked at the sky, now filled with friendly ships and morning light. "Then we'll be ready. Together." And far above them, in the heart of space, more signals lit up. One voice had awakened many, and the stars were listening again. The sun rose over Ryan 7 for the first time in many days without fear in the air. Smoke still curled from the broken rocks, but the hunters were gone, defeated. The human fleet now hovered above the planet like a sleeping giant awakened after centuries of silence. Eli stood near the cliff's edge, his jacket torn, his body bruised, but his eyes full of fire. Beside him stood Lyra, wrapped in a silver cloak given by the Valor's crew. Her skin still glowed faintly under the morning light, but it was calm now, steady, like the beginning of peace. The HSF Valor had landed near the base, and soldiers, engineers, and medics walked the ground where destruction once ruled, but none of them looked at Eli like he was just a miner anymore. They looked at him like he was something more. A messenger, a spark, a protector. Lyra watched the workers move carefully around the wounded, helping humans and aliens alike. "It's strange," she said softly. "Just days ago I was alone in that well, waiting to die, and now the galaxy breathes again." Eli smiled, wiping dust from his hands. "You whispered." I listened. That's how change starts. From behind them, Captain Reese approached, an older man with a firm face and sharp eyes. "You've done more than start change, Mr. Grant," he said. "You've restarted something we thought was lost forever." He nodded toward Lyra. "And you, Princess, your people haven't been seen since the old days. The Council will want to meet you. They'll want peace again." Lyra bowed her head. "Then let peace begin today. With words, not weapons." Eli chuckled. "Now that's a rare thing. Someone with power asking for peace." Reese handed Eli a small metal badge, the symbol of Earth's Restoration Command. "This is not a reward," he said. "It's a responsibility. You've proven yourself. The galaxy listens to humans again. What we say now matters." Eli turned the badge in his hand. "I didn't ask for any of this." "No," Reese agreed, "but you answered a cry no one else could hear. That's what real leadership looks like." Lyra stepped forward. "Captain, I have a request." Reese raised an eyebrow. "Speak it." "I want Eli by my side when I speak to the jailer elders. I want them to see what a true human looks like. Not just a soldier, but a protector of the forgotten." Reese looked at Eli. "Well, Minor, looks like you're headed for the stars." Eli looked at Lyra, her eyes filled with purpose, strength, and hope. He gave a quiet nod. "As long as I get to bring my boots." Everyone laughed. Later that night, they stood under the stars again. The fire was low, crackling between them. Soldiers rested nearby. Lyra sat beside Eli, her head tilted up. "Do you ever wonder why I whispered to you?" she asked. He looked at her. "All the time," she smiled. "It wasn't just your ears that heard me. Your heart did. There were hundreds in that colony, but only one came to the well." Eli stayed quiet for a moment, then said, "I heard pain, and I remembered mine. I couldn't ignore it." She touched his hand. "And because of that, 2 worlds will live again." A soft beep echoed in the night. The console in Eli's hand lit up. Another signal. A new message. More colonies waking up. More ships responding to the beacon. "The galaxy's talking again," he said. "Then let it speak loudly," Lyra whispered, "and kindly." The next morning, the Valor rose into the sky, taking Lyra and Eli with it. From the ship's window, they looked down on Ryan 7, once a forgotten dust world, now the birthplace of something new. As the ship entered the stars, Lyra turned to Eli. Do you know what your people were once called in our legends? He shook his head. Star keepers. The ones who held the light when all others fell. Eli smiled softly. Sounds like we've got work to do then. From deep space across systems thought lost, other beacons lit up in answer. Old Earth alliances. Jellar cities. Neutral planets. Even old enemies paused to listen. One whisper had become a voice, one voice had become a signal, and now that signal had become a call for peace, unity, and the return of hope. She whispered for help in the dark. And a human answered. He didn't save just a girl in a well. He saved a galaxy's forgotten hope. This is what it means to be human. To hear, to protect, to fight for what's right, even when the world turns its back.